Welcome to the Elite Leader Insights podcast, where leadership isn't theory, it's transformation in motion.
Each week, we dive into the strategies, stories, and systems behind modern leadership excellence drawn directly from the Elite Leader Insights newsletter written by Donald C. Kunkel Jr.
He's the founder of the Elite Leadership Center, author of the Foundations of Influence, and creator of the TECCA Influence System, an automated cradle-to-grave leadership assessment and coaching tool for actionable growth.
If you're ready to lead with clarity, build trust, and influence with purpose well, you're definitely in the right place.
Okay, so let's get into it. Today we're tackling something pretty fundamental that a lot of leaders struggle with. It's that feeling, like you're pouring way more energy into leading someone than they're putting into following. Donald calls this the leadership energy trap in his newsletter.
Yeah, it's a great term for it. It's this idea that leadership is really an exchange of energy. It needs to be reciprocal.
Right, not just you pushing the rock uphill alone.
Exactly. You're guiding, you're supporting, but you're not meant to be dragging dead weight indefinitely. Don puts it really well. Everyone is motivated by something, sure, but you've got to know the difference between unlocking potential and just pulling someone who won't even try to walk.
That's such a critical distinction. So the big question is, how do you tell the difference? How do you know if someone's genuinely struggling and needs help, or if they're just unwilling?
Well, that's where things get nuanced. You can't just use one approach for everyone. It reminds me of Blanchard and Hersey's situational leadership model,
Oh, yeah. Adapting your style based on their competence and commitment level.
Precisely. Because not everyone's starting from the same place. It also connects to what John Maxwell says. You teach what you know, but you reproduce what you are. If you aren't holding people accountable, well,
Then you're kind of setting that tone yourself. It starts with the leader.
it really does. And this isn't about being harsh or uncaring. Simon Sinek talks about leadership being about taking care of those in your charge.
Right. But care doesn't mean letting things slide indefinitely.
Exactly. Care sometimes means having the courage to hold the line, to actually protect people from staying stuck, which isn't truly helping them in the long run.
Let's make this a bit more concrete. Donald shares some powerful stories from his own experience, like early in his Air Force career as a young staff sergeant.
Yeah, being given the quote-unquote problem troops. And what he found was a lot of them weren't problems at all. They were just misunderstood.
So it took patience and actually asking questions.
Showing up consistently, being curious, listening, that unlocked potential that others missed. It wasn't about some grand speech, just consistent effort and, well, humility.
Then there was that other story, much later, as a first sergeant. An airman who'd won awards but was just tanking.
Right, and that wasn't a quick fix either. It took, what, over a year?
Yeah, over a year of persistent effort, building trust, demanding accountability, but also showing compassion. It shows leadership is that steady, consistent presence.
Absolutely. But then you have the flip side, right? Like the Howard Schultz example at Starbucks back in '08.
Oh yeah, the big turnaround. That involves some really tough calls.
Tough is putting it mildly. Closing 600 stores, parting ways with leaders who weren't on board with the necessary changes, but he did it from a place of clarity about the mission, not just frustration. Sometimes protecting the whole means letting go of parts that refuse to adapt.
These examples really show the spectrum. It's not black and white. And that's where having a framework helps, right? Like the TECCA system Don developed.
Exactly. Trust, emotional intelligence, communication, credibility, adaptability. TECCA helps you kind of diagnose the situation more accurately. Is this a skill gap, a motivation issue, a trust problem? It lets you tailor your support without just enabling.
Because you can support someone who's struggling, but you can't keep propping up someone who's actively disengaged.
That's the core truth, isn't it? You can teach skills, you can model communication, you can build trust, but you can't teach initiative. You just can't force someone to want it.
And dragging that unwilling person along, it doesn't just drain you. It holds back the whole team.
Absolutely. So sometimes setting those clear, effort-based expectations, having the tough conversation, that's actually the more compassionate and ultimately more effective leadership move.
Okay, so let's boil this down for everyone listening. What are the key actions?
Well, first, definitely set effort-based expectations. You coach performance, but effort has to come from them.
Right. Second, be curious before you get critical. Dig into the why behind the underperformance.
Third, lead situationally. Adapt your approach. Don't use a one-size-fits-all method.
Makes sense. And finally,
Say the hard thing, but do it respectfully. Remember that balance. Accountability without empathy is just brutal. But empathy without accountability, that's pure enablement.
So to wrap it up, real leadership is coaching, challenging, walking alongside people.
And knowing when it's time for them to walk in their own power, it's about holding that high standard because you genuinely believe in their potential.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Elite Leader Insights podcast. If today's message challenged how you think about leadership, culture, or growth, take the next step.
Visit eliteleadershipcenter.com. You can access free leadership development tools there, take the TECCA Influence Assessment, and sign up for the Elite Leader Insights newsletter. It's your weekly dose of actionable leadership content.
And please consider liking, sharing, or leaving a comment. We really would love to hear what stood out to you today. Until next week, remember, leadership is influence in action every day, in every relationship. Let's build it together.